Good morning, and welcome to what will hopefully be one of the first segments of a regular feature on CRDaily.com. I'm here today with John McCallie, a professor in the UNC Department of Economics, and we're going to talk about cap and trade for a couple minutes because that's one of those issues that sort of disappeared now that everything's focused on healthcare. So, just to start off, could you give us a little background about cap and trade? You know, the basic idea. We know the House passed it. It's stopped in the Senate for the moment, but you know, what's the basis for this idea?
Well, the basis of it is to try to basically cap, global warming gases, and try to reduce those to certain levels. Some 20% below 2005 levels or something like that. And the idea there is to cap the amount and then trade on the basis of what it costs to produce them.
Yeah. Okay. So from an economic standpoint, is this harmful, beneficial, no effect on, growth or incomes or anything related like that?
Well, it's just like placing, as I mentioned before, it's like placing a tax on just living. I mean, everything we do is, life is energy.
Yeah.
And this is like placing a tax on life. So it'd be us that we're being taxed on. This would be devastating. Devastating. I mean, and this would cap prosperity basically.
Okay.
And in that sense, that it would limit a lot of opportunities out there that would on the other hand would come about.
Okay.
That would rise from having a plentiful supply of energy at low cost. That would just be tremendously beneficial. But this would be, on the other hand, a tremendous restriction on that.
Okay. So, is how it's the framework that they're trying to establish right now? Is that the bad part, or just the idea of cap and trade in general? Of having these carbon permits and selling them on an exchange that's at least advertised as being a free market.
Well, theoretically, just to make it short, theoretically the idea is it can work. The idea from a theoretical point of view is probably a pretty good idea as far as if you wanted to try to limit the amount of global warming gases. This would probably be one of the most efficient ways of doing it from an economic standpoint. The question is does it work in reality? That's one big issue, and the other one is it even necessary? And to me that is the critical issue there.
Yeah.
Because the assumption is that it's something that we need to do, and that's what needs to be questioned most.
Okay.
Not whether cap and trade is the most efficient way of doing it or not. So they need to really debate whether, for one thing, for the last 10 years we haven't even had global warming, and this is one of the reasons why they call it climate change, because so that it just it applies to everything.
Yeah.
Another thing is that it's not man caused. So those are the issues that should be debated.
Okay. But if we were to have the assumption that this climate change is occurring or something, like from the mindset of a liberal who actually think this is going on, what would be the least economically harmful or neutral? Would it be like a carbon tax, cap and trade, or some of the other ideas being tossed around?
Well, to be honest with you, Anthony, none of those, in my opinion, and this is what I've been saying this is what a lot of people have been saying for 20 years now, or 30 years actually, that basically what we ought to be doing is a massive supply of nuclear energy. If they were really serious about acid rain, about mercury, about global warming, if they were really serious about that, they would be advocating nuclear energy. And if we had according to what they wanted to do 30 years ago, they wanted to have about 10 power plants in every state.
Yeah.
And if that was the case, we'd have such a plentiful supply of electricity now that we could be running like cars, and we could be exporting energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the way to go if you're really serious about global warming.
Yeah. And some other ideas just to make the energy market more efficient. They're talking about upgrading the national grid or things like that. So is this something that government should be doing, or are there free market incentives in place that would make government action unnecessary?
Well, you would need government action in if you had a free market in that. I mean, there would be just such a plentiful supply, and it'd be the market can figure out how to dispense that supply at an effective rate.
So would you describe the current state of the energy market as a true free market, or is it overly regulated, stunting some of the beneficial effects of competition and whatnot?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not really sure, how to answer that really. I mean, I would say that that's not a major issue right now. With regard to the grid and everything, I think that that could be looked into once we had our energy sources, rectified. But now remember now that when I was at UNC 30 years ago, I was majoring in chemistry, and so we were, as a science major, we were studying all these ramifications, including nuclear energy at that time, and so that was a big issue even at that time. That was of course President Carter was concerned about energy independence and so forth. And he restricted at that time. He restricted the use of plutonium in trying to reuse plutonium so that you could actually get you wouldn't have any disposable problems as a result of that. But that has been curtailed by President Carter.
Yeah.
It was removed by President Bush, by the way, and now it's been put back. That restriction's been put back by President Obama. Now that can be rectified very quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I know you guys are getting at, you want to make the conversation talk about the economics of cap and trade and all that, but really the issue should be I mean it's very clear about nuclear energy.
Yeah.
And it's just you can have wind power and you can have geothermal and you can have solar energy, but there's no comparison. There's just no comparison to nuclear power. If you're talking about running a modern economy with computers and electric cars and things like that, or hospitals, you can't be talking about wind power and solar energy. It's just not going to work.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. And Anthony Dent, contributor on CRDaily.com, speaking with John McCallie, professor of the UNC Economics Department. Have a good day.